the lesson model for 612 Reveal Math.
Excellent. Can't wait. So I have stopped sharing my screen and I'll hand over to Christy. But yes, I'm here in the background if you need any kind of support, any technical difficulties. Have a great session.
Thanks. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'll kind of go through and we'll be looking at the chat, but most of the time we just kind of walk through it and then we'll answer questions at the end if that's okay with everybody. We'll do that. So just kind of as a quick review that this is the structure of a module and we're going to dive into a lesson, but I just like to review this super quick. And one of the key things that I love about McGraw Hill's module structure is the pacing guide, that we are very generous in our pacing and always give you plenty of time per lesson, and then there'll be up to 4 days for openers, reviews, and assessment, those key things. Now, one of the things that I want to highlight on this slide right here is don't forget about the Cheryl Toby Math Probe. Those are little hidden gems that are in the module of Reveal Math, and they address a very specific misconception. And so it's in the beginning. You'll see the Cheryl Toby Math Probe at the beginning of every module, but you may not use it until, like on this one, it's after lesson 5. Sometimes it's after lesson 2. It just depends because it's going to address a very specific math misconception. So don't forget about those. They are fantastic resources. And so, definitely check those out if you haven't been using those as well. So let's move a little forward here and talk about some of the key resources that you see at the module opener. I just want to remind you that there is the essential question, and there is also always a video. One of the things about the video that I want to remind you about is that usually there's 2 or 3 different scenarios in this video. So if your students can't relate to, maybe the first one at the very first, fast forward through and look for some of the other keys that you might see there, just so they can see in the world around them and what type of, what they might be using there. Another key, of course, is the Ignite activities, and this is an excellent piece that is meant to just spark the curiosity and problem solving within the unit. It kind of hints at the math of the module. Another piece about this is that these are Word documents online. So, for example, you can always edit them and make them yours. You can always, change it a little bit. I had a teacher, for example, tell me that one of our Ignite activities was about a swim team. And at their school, they didn't have a swim team, but they had a track team. So he went in and changed it that way and made it more relevant to the students. So definitely keep that in mind. And then, of course, the last thing that you'll see at the beginning of every module is your Are You Ready? And it's just a really quick review for the students. I love the fact that it's got examples there, and then it'll take them through a quick little check and then ask them to really see how they did. And this is just great information to make sure that the students have that just-in-time support they need to be successful within the module. So let's dive into a lesson. I just kind of wanted to review a little bit real quickly about the structure of it. And of course, the lesson model within Reveal Math is Launch, Explore and Develop. And there's 4 key parts within Explore and Develop. There'll be the Explore, which is what I like to say. Students like to tinker with the mathematics, and over 90% of our lessons do have an Explore activity. And then we formalize that with the Learn and examples. And then in middle school, which that is course 1, 2, and 3, there is a check at the end of every example. In high school, those checks are after every 2, 3, sometimes even 4 examples. So they're just these quick checks that you can do. And then, of course, you have the reflect and practice within the lesson. So this is always the consistent structure of each and every lesson. Now, whenever you dive in and look at your teacher's support, you're going to see that it looks a little different. Probably many of you have already figured this out. But the key thing is that you have these interactive presentations, and this allows you the flexibility on ways that you might want to launch the lesson. So for example, I might want to use the warm-up. That is the prerequisite skills that I need for this particular lesson. Now, it is important to note that this warm-up is a teacher-only resource. So the idea behind the warm-up is something that's projected. It's a, quick little evaluation of the students, allow them to do this, like paper and pencil in their notebook or something, and just to give that to them, because as you see there is a layer that does show the answers. So you can definitely show the answers for that. Other options to start the lesson will also include the launch the lesson. And this is kind of a little bit of a be curious moment. When am I ever going to use this in real life? Why do I need simplifying algebraic expressions? That sounds so boring. What am I going to do? When am I going to use this? So you'll see some type of real world scenario to allow students to maybe spark their curiosity and begin to be curious about the mathematics. And then last but not least, you do have a key slide on vocabulary. I mean, the vocabulary in the mathematics is so important for our students to be able to make sure that they understand the math versus maybe the academic term. One of my favorite vocabulary words is the word base, B-A-S-E. Now, whenever I think of base, the first thing that might come to me might be base 10 blocks, because I just got through talking with elementary teachers this morning, and we were using base 10 blocks as the model of place value. And we were talking about representing 4-digit numbers. All right. But probably some of you, whenever I said the word base, you may have thought of the base of a geometric figure. Or I might have some Algebra 2 teachers in here that thought about logarithms and thought about the base of a number, or the logarithmic base. So those are some key things just in mathematics whenever you think about base. Now also think about our students, okay? Whenever we think about our students, they might be just coming from a science class, and they might think of the word base as acids and bases. Or they may be very musically inclined. And so the students are thinking about, oh, a bass guitar or a bass drum. Or students might be athletic. And whenever I say the word bass, they might be thinking about a bass in baseball. So you just never know. So this is another key piece to really talk about the the language of mathematics. And so, that's 3 different ways to launch the lesson. Each one of those takes about 5 minutes. So I know you can't do all 3 every day, but just know that that's one of the nice things about launching a lesson in Reveal Math, is that you have the flexibility. The other thing is that you also have the flexibility to rearrange your presentations. And so, this might be, the vocabulary might be something you want to put at the back end of a lesson just to review. Whenever they're all ready to put things up and are getting antsy to leave, you could always, change things around and put it there as well. Now, as we move from the launch, like I said, you've got lots of flexibility there. Then we move into the explore and develop. And the explore and develop basically is where students usually have the opportunity, as I like to say, to tinker with the mathematics. And so they can go in, they can use this as a presentation, they can do this in small groups, or you can demonstrate this to the whole group, and we can have a whole class discussion with these interactive pieces. This is a guided exploration that you'll see here. So you'll see that questions give them explicit instructions and ask them step-by-step instructions. And then the other really beauty about this is that there is an explore recording sheet. So for every single one of these, there is an explore recording sheet. Fantastic for guided notes in your classroom. Also, a great way if you're doing collaborative learning in the classroom. This is also a great place to allow students, groups of 3. If you're doing groups of 3 in your classroom, this will help hold accountability and allow one of your students to be the recorder as they work through this, and really, guide through the lesson. So if you haven't been using the Explore recording sheets, I do encourage you to use those. They are a fantastic piece that goes along with the exploration. Another way you could really use this is for students that are absent, and then there is no replacement for them being in the classroom and having the discussion with you and the other students in the classroom. But still, this is a great piece. Even that Explore recording sheet will help them go through it. Now, know that in Reveal Math that we do have that algebraic reasoning, that progression as we go through from 6th grade to 7th grade to 8th grade, all the way through. We're going to continue that reasoning so that students really do build and connect the concepts as they work through the mathematics. So just keep that in mind. For those of us that teach middle school to high school, we really do work and pride ourselves on that. Now, as we move forward in the lesson, we move to the learn. The learn is basically the more explicit part of the lesson, and this is where the students pick up into their book. So the Explore activity is an online activity, and there is a nod to it, within their book, but the learn is where you see those explicit concept being developed for the student. And like I said, everything that you see on the learn will be right there within the student book. Students will also have the objective well stated within that. From the learn, then we begin to move to examples, and the same examples that the students see in print is what you see in the online presentation. Now, for you, the teacher, in your teacher's edition, you'll notice that there is also excellent questioning for each and every example. So within the examples, there'll be AL, which is approaching level questioning. There'll be OL, which is on level, and then BL, which is beyond level. But this is just an excellent sequence of questions to help move students through developing the concept and really learning the skill. So that's all that's really totally designed for in your teacher's edition to help you. Now, also keep in mind that there is a go online, and that for every example in the book, there is that extra example right there online. You can assign it or present it either way as extra notes there. And a hidden gem I'm going to show you in just a second is that there's extra support for that extra online example, such as our personal tutors, which is our whiteboard examples, or embedded in there, or there might be a little hint embedded in there for the student. So this is a great thing that you can either assign to the student or maybe put on their calendar for them, just to give them a little quick chance to review the material, or once again, somebody that may have missed it, that kind of key thing. From here, we move into the check. And as I mentioned earlier, in the middle school, every single example after that, there is a check. For high school, it's after every 2, 3, sometimes 4 examples, you will see a check. And then in middle school, there is an apply problem at the end of every one. And it used the 8 mathematical language routine of the 3 reads there for every single one of those. But in high school, they're sprinkled throughout. The apply problems will be sprinkled throughout there. And you'll see, like right here, Here's an example from middle school. What is the task? Make sure you understand what questions to answer and solve it. So there's the 3 read, first time, second, third. And then of course, how can you approach the task? Let's think about the different strategies. What is your solution? And then is your solution reasonable? So key ways to help those students as they begin to truly develop the mathematics. And the nice thing is there's an extra one of these online too as well. So as we look at the teacher support for the Explore and Develop, you'll find that there'll be suggestions for collaborative practice. You'll also find common misconceptions there to help students and ways to help encourage that productive struggle. And then what happens if our students are overwhelmed? And what are some signs maybe of, that non-productive struggle? And how can I kind of guide my students back to feeling more comfortable with the mathematics and working through the mathematics? You'll also know that there's plenty of opportunities to support students to write about their exploration. Now, if you do have the print material, you'll know that, it's very easy for the students to follow along and write within their particular pieces there of the lesson. So we're going to move from the lesson model, from the launch to the Explore and Develop, and then to the Reflect and Practice. And the Reflect and Practice is where you do see an exit ticket. And once again, that exit ticket is an online resource designed for you to use kind of to synthesize the lesson. So it's really designed to be a whole class, and it's part of the presentation before you move to the practice. Now, real quickly, I am going to open up. Here we go. I'm going to open up my dashboard from Reveal Math. It's, it has been updated this summer. So earlier somebody said, oh, I didn't realize some of the updates. So I'm just going to share a little bit of that with you. Whenever I go into a particular lesson, one of the exciting things that you're going to find, if you haven't noticed before, is that we have added PowerPoints to each and every lesson. Our teachers told us our interactive presentations are excellent, but sometimes we need something that we can download and not rely on the internet to have. So know that you do have a PowerPoint here underneath Launch. Now that PowerPoint is very similar to your presentation that's up here. And right to the right of it is where you can edit that presentation. So for example, right here, this is where I have those options on what I want to do to launch the lesson, my different options here. And, I might want to put this first, and you can just very easily move things around. Today, maybe I'm not going to do this prerequisite skill, so I'm going to hide this particular piece. I can do that very easily. Here's my examples, and then my extra examples. And, maybe I'm going to teach from the same examples that are there. So if I want to hide that extra example, I can. Or if I am not going to teach from the examples in the book and I want to teach from those examples, I think you get the idea here. You can do that either way that you want to. I mentioned the Explore recording sheet is an excellent resource. It looks like someone has moved it away. I'm in the sample, so it looks like somebody has moved it away from the investigation there. If you want to just put that in your slide presentation, just as a reminder, hey folks, here's the time, to take this out. Definitely do that. I mentioned that in the extra examples, let me see if I can get there. Whoops, I think it was going there and I moved it. Yeah, there it is. I mentioned that in the extra examples, this is nice because it's, it's interactive. Whoops, it's interactive. So I can allow my students to kind of check their answer. And after 2 or 3 tries, it will show the answer for them. And then also, you need a hint, you need help with this. Well, watch this video on how to review. So a great review resource for your students to use right here as they work through, and they don't have to go be the hunter and gatherer, or neither do you. You've got it all embedded right here. Now, as I move through the resources, and I look at another extra example. You'll see here's another one. And, once again, it's great for students that might need a little help. And then here is that video again, or there might sometimes be a hint. Now I'm on the teacher side, so that's why you can see the answer key there. Just FYI, if you are presenting and you don't want your teacher notes to show, there's these 3 little dots right here that you can turn those off. And so you don't have to have those resources there on as you work through it. Many times this is a 2-day lesson. So where do I stop? Maybe right before the second learn would be where I'd want to stop to continue for the next day. And then remember, what I wanted to share with you is this exit ticket. And the idea behind the exit ticket, just like with the warm-up, is this is a teacher-only resource, and it's designed, for you to work through it, let the students just kind of do a quick check, and then you can very easily show them the answers as you do that. So that's kind of a little bit about the presentation here. As you move forward within the lesson, whenever you are in edit mode, all the resources, including those additional resources or anything that you've added, can be within the presentation there. Now, from here, we are going to move into the practice. And that's where you've got those 2 pages of excellent practice within each and every lesson. Middle school, there is a little room for you to write on. High school, not so much. Keep in mind that we gave you just, tons and tons of practice, but doesn't mean we need to assign it all. We've also given you an excellent chart here with the DOK levels. And so that way you can kind of see, how my students are doing, and therefore what kind of lessons, problems do I might want to give them. And so depending on my class, I might really want to concentrate on some of the higher order thinking skills, challenge my students with some of those problems that really allow them to model the mathematics or find an error. A lot of times they like to do that, or, create or write. And there's nothing wrong with giving them a choice. Hey, folks, I want you to choose one problem, 16 through 20, to do today. And, make it good for them. Can definitely do that. And then keep in mind that online, there is extra practice, there is spiral review, and those personal tutors are also there online for you to take a look at. Then, oh wait, let me move real quick before we get to differentiation. What I wanted to share with you is online, whenever you look at the extra practice here, this is a Word, whoops, sorry. This is a Word document. You'll see it's tagged Word. So this is a Word document. And if you look at this extra practice, a lot of teachers have been telling me they've been using this for their guided notes. This is another excellent place because it goes through and shows which problems go with which examples. Now, if you look at the Word document, there's usually about 20 problems here in the extra practice. But if you go to the extra practice online, the dynamic, the extra practice here, what you'll find here is, look, there are 32 questions. Now, why are there more practice problems here than what they are in the print? That's because if you go past problem number 20, these are our algorithmic problems that are very similar to our ALEX. So I like to call these ALEX light, but they really are. They're exactly like ALEX because they sit here and they'll show students a problem. And then if they don't understand it, it's going to give them another problem, but it's going to have different numbers in it. So whenever students don't understand this problem, they can go down here and it says need help with the question. This time it's going to show their answer. It's either going to be a step-by-step interactive walkthrough or a direct explanation. And then whenever they go back to the problem, it's going to say try another here. So keep that in mind that in the extra practice, after problem number 20, generally, these last 12 to 15 problems are algorithmic problems. Now, the really cool thing to do is to come over here underneath assessment and create a new, I'm just going to call it ALG practice. Create a new assessment here that maybe I just want to do a few algorithmic problems, because the beauty about doing that is that I may have students that, you know, they breeze through this concept, so they'll be able to do one problem per type of problem and hey, be done with their homework. But there might be other students that need 5 of those same practice problems to be able to understand the concept. So by creating this, watch this, I'm going to hit create, and then I get this blank sheet of paper, and I'm going to go over here where it says add questions. I'm going to add from existing. Where do I want to go to? I generally go right here to where it says assessments. And then I select my bank. It's going to be in the practice banks. So whichever practice bank I'm in module 4. And then I want to go to that extra practice. And I wanted that extra practice on rate of change and slope. So there it is. Remember where those problems going to be? They're going to be towards the bottom. So, you know, like here's an algorithmic, determine the slope of an object. Do I want one of those? Do I want to find the slope of a line with positive? I want to add, whoops, I didn't click. I want to add those two. Okay, maybe this time I want to identify the functions and tables. Okay, I want that one. Everybody kind of gets the idea here of what I'm doing. I can choose and I can add. And now I'm going to hit save and exit. And I've made just a quick little practice for my students. But some of my students may just be able to do those 4 problems and boom, be done. But others may need to continue. So that allows them to do that. Now, where does that assessment live or practice live? It lives basically in this folder up here called My Assessments. And I strongly suggest that you label it, you know, like I just labeled it out practice, but you'll see that many times I put my name on it, and like my colleague Shelly, we even create folders with our stuff in it. But once you have it here, there's these 3 little dots, and with that, you can, of course, you can preview it. You can assign it to your students from here. And what's really nice is you can send a copy to a colleague in your same school. So if you've got another colleague that is teaching the same thing and y'all want to divide and conquer, this is a great time for you to be able to do that with this extra practice here within Reveal Math. So that's kind of one of the hidden gems here as you you go through with your students and you do the extra practice. Now, as students move forward and they've done a little practice, and then maybe you realize we've got to do some differentiation there because they all didn't score, 100%. You'll notice that even from the very first page of your lesson guide there, you see the differentiation. So there's always options for differentiation within each and every lesson. Those will include our remediation resources, which will be reviews, and reviews is not just a worksheet, it's an animated example if you haven't looked at those. Through Algebra 1, we have our wonderful Take Another Look lessons. Sorry, Geometry and Algebra 2 teachers, we don't have those, but we do have them through Algebra 1. And then there's also always great extensions there too for the students. Another key piece that kind of is a hidden gem within the Reveal Math is the Language Development Handbook. And that Language Development Handbook will offer support for your students every day. It'll help them develop the language. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go back online and show you exactly where it is. It's under additional resources. And you've got the student, but then you also have the teacher edition. And a new thing that McGraw Hill did is we recognize the real importance of developing the language. And then we also recognize the great work that came out of Stanford University on the 8 mathematical language routines developed out of there. And so what we have added into our Language Development Handbook is every single lesson has one of those 8 mathematical language routines. So if you look in the middle, I keep doing this little square around it. If you look in the middle of every single lesson on your teacher's edition of the Language Development Handbook, you'll find one of those 8 mathematical language routines. And that is a new piece that has been added into that handbook. So you may have been familiar with it before, but I just wanted to point that out and share that with you too on how super cool that resource is. Of course, in your teacher's edition, you're going to find those options for the differentiated resources and key things to assign to those students. These are the higher level, if they're beyond level, these are the higher level practice exercises that we encourage you to assign, those extensions that are there. And then, we never can forget about Alex. The same thing for on level, we'll have different suggestions for them. As I mentioned, these review resources are interactive. It's not just a flat, kind of worksheet there that goes on, and those good personal tutors. Remediation, I'll have that. And through Algebra 1, I think it's everybody's very favorite resource. And basically, it's called Take Another Look. And these Take Another Look resources are a 15-minute mini lesson. And they're broken up into 3 parts. First of all, sometimes there's usually a little video or something we'll ask them to learn. And then from there, you move into the apply. So students kind of work through interactive example and apply. And then lastly, students get a second little exit ticket, in my opinion. They do a quick little assess. So it kind of gives them a quick little, show what they know as they apply. Now, these are about 15 minutes. And they're also another great place that allows students to see, some teachers call these take a first peek, because this is a good place that a student could preview even. This could be assigned before the lesson and just, take a first peek of what we're going to do. Are those students that have missed your class, this is another great place where they can come in and really look at the mathematics and see the what you did today, and just kind of give them a quick little overview of this. So that's one of the key differentiated resources. Now, I know we're talking about the lesson model, but that basically takes us through it. And as a reminder, I just want to also remind you that within Reveal Math, whenever you look at your assessment tools, you have that diagnostic assessment within every lesson with the warm-up. And then as you move into the lesson, your formative assessment tools include that exit ticket, the daily practice, that spiral review, the checks will give you that. And then, of course, as you move through your lessons and you're ready to be to the end of the lesson, you also find the reviews, the performance tasks, and embedded within there, you will find benchmarks for middle school, end of year, for all courses. And in high school, you'll find some SAT and ACT practice there. We are very proud of all of our tools there, and they are embedded at what we like to call point of use. So whenever I do pull up my table of contents and I go back to my course, you find all those different assessment options at the module level. So that's where you find all your different assessment options there for you. And then mentioning as you begin to prepare for the module, another key resource that I want to share with you is in the program resources. And within the program resources, there is professional learning. And one of the really nice supports here is the why behind the mathematics. So I can go into a video library and I'm preparing to teach a module and the lessons within that module. Well, then I can watch a video over over the particular module and maybe give myself some really nice hints for what I'm looking at. Like this one over module 3, there's one of the important aspects of the function. There's also the misconceptions. And this is just one of 4. So keep going to get to the rest of them. So here we've got module 4 talking about piecewise functions and exploring standard form. These are fantastic videos that I encourage you to look at as you begin preparing for teaching your lessons. And those are found under program resources, professional learning. Some of you probably have used some of these other great ones here, the quick start and the implementation support, but we may not have scrolled all the way down to the why. So with that, it has been a pleasure to share with you a little bit about a lesson model. And I think we're ready to open it up for some Q&A, and I think we might have some. So how can I download the exit ticket of each lesson? Unfortunately, the exit ticket is one thing that cannot be downloaded. That's the one that, as I mentioned, let's go within a lesson really quick. Let me go back to a lesson. Whenever I go into a lesson, in the launch, you have the teacher-only resource of the warm-up. And then whenever you get down to the reflect and practice, The exit ticket is the teacher only resource. Those are the two things that are just teacher owned. Or one of the
Thanks,
two things.
Christy.
Sure.
I've got two for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Please, I hope that you can show us how we can assign the check from the example for students, not assign the whole exam, just the check on the exam.
On the example,
Yes.
unfortunately, whenever, let me go, I'm gonna have to go, I'm in Algebra 1. In Algebra 1 and Geometry and Algebra 2, the checks are separate. And so you can just assign the checks. Whenever you're in a middle school program, I'm getting there. Whenever you're in a middle school program, and we'll go to a lesson, the checks are embedded into the examples, so you have to assign the entire example. So that's where my solution, remember, my solution is to come over here to assessments, and I would create my own check. And whenever I create my own check, and I know this it does take 30 seconds of your life, but I would go right here and grab that extra practice. And then scroll down and grab some of those algorithmic problems and make my own check for the entire lesson and just do it that way. That would be my best suggestion for that.
Okay, perfect. And I have one more. Maybe have a lesson evaluation analysis as feedback of learners' understanding level.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand that.
Yeah, me too. Maybe we have lesson evaluation analysis as feedback of learners' understanding level. Do you want to understand how what the learner's understanding level is? The feedback related to that?
Yeah, so if we're talking about that, I think what you might want to look at then, I'm just gonna, guess it here. What I think might be helpful is whenever you go into the assessments and you choose anything, doesn't matter what you choose. Whenever you look at this, there is also the metadata. So you can export that metadata and see what standards address and what the level is of the question, and that would help probably analyze what you're looking for. Another key, and I forgot to mention this earlier, the reports, and I have terrible reports here. I mean, like, I have terrible data, not terrible reports. I shouldn't say that, but I have terrible data. But within here, we have updated the item analysis report, kind of given it a little bit fresher look here. And it's another hidden gem that's within the program. It's under activity reports, and mine is spinning because my data is so terrible. That's what it's doing. It's gonna say, Christy, you can't have this data. It's so bad. But it's really good. It'll show you the standard assess. It'll show you the students that submitted it. Yeah, you can see I've got nothing but the question details, and it's a really nice. We've updated this report, and I think it's a lot cleaner for you. And so that might also be a place that could help interpret some of your students' performance within a practice.
I think that's very helpful to know. Like the analysis is right there.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Christy? I'm looking at the chat box, and also my eyes are on the Q&A box. Is there any pack for exit tickets? Is there any pack for exit tickets to get?
As I mentioned, the exit tickets are the warm up and the exit tickets are kind of the bookends that are teacher only and meant to be kind of presented for a whole class. What I like to say about the exit tickets, and a thing that you can do is just have students do those exit tickets like on a note card and pass, and hand those to you as they exit the class. And that would give you a chance to be able to, very quickly. I kind of say if you want to do it that way, then make a red, yellow, green kind of stack on your desk, and that'll give you can kind of gauge like, okay, those that didn't do so well, I'll put them in the red stack. Those that did okay on them, put them in the yellow, and then those that got it right, put in the green, and you can kind of see how your lesson went if you just look at those three stacks. So that's my suggestion for the exit ticket. If you really want to take it up, then let the kids do it on a piece of notebook paper or a note card. I don't know if that helped.
No, I'm sure that did. Can we download the videos? I get this question so much, Christy, by the way.
Hey, okay. Hang on. I got an email the other day of a way. I don't think you can download them, but you can transfer them so that students could be not in this platform. So I think there is. Let me check on that, and whenever you send out the follow-up email, I'll have some information on that. I just got an email from one of the teams about a new enhancement feature on the videos. So I will check on that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And any more questions? I think there's a 30-second rule. I think I heard it from DJ.
He always has the best rules.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
like, actually, yeah, that's a good one. Have a 30-second rule.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a good one, Christy. Can the
Yes.
PowerPoints be downloaded as well?
Yes. So that is, I'm going to go to my course. And remember, these PowerPoints are new and they're right here underneath launch. And whenever you do open this, there's going to be that you can also download this file. So that is something that you can, hey, you know what? I just found a solution too. That is something that you can download. And guess what's on these? The warm-ups. So if you really wanted to print out the warm-up or the exit ticket, they're going to be in this PowerPoint. So you could edit this PowerPoint, find that lovely, I'm trying to find that lovely exit ticket. There it is. Boom. Well, there's the one with the answer. But there, so you could, very easy copy and paste or print just this one slide, and there would be your printed exit ticket. So we found a solution. Thanks for asking that question.
Thank you. What platform is this that you're working on making these, if I may know? That's a good question, Nusrat. So we are.
Whoops, I lost you.
Oh, sorry. There was a question. What platform is it
me.
that you're working on? This is the McGraw Hill Reveal Math K5 program that Christy is going through, and we're just doing a lesson walkthrough on one of the grades. If you need more help, Nusrat, with the program, or you need more information, can you please type the name for me? Yeah, sure, I can. It's Reveal Math. And I'm dropping my email address in case you need more information. You can just drop me an email and I can give you more details about it if you need me to connect with someone.
And remember the exit ticket, you can't do it from the course, but you can do it from the PowerPoint. I just saw that you can do
good tip.
Yeah, that was a good, hey, just like you, I learned something new every time I do one of these. So I'm glad I got to do this today. Reveal Math does not have a pre-calculus. I did just see that question come in. Well, it was our absolute pleasure to work with y'all today. I hope everybody learned a little nugget of information here from us.
Yes, I did. Thank you so much, Christy.
Thanks, and everybody have a great week.
Have a great week. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye. Have a good evening, wherever that's left of it, I guess.